We have some more NHL signings to discuss today, including some key restricted free agents, and another member of the 2019 first-round draft class has signed his entry-level contract. We'll get into all the details coming up next. Welcome back here to Top Shelf Hockey. Now we have some more breaking news with several more signings to discuss here today. As I mentioned, we have a lot of RFAs as well as another 2019 draft prospect here that signed his entry-level deal. I want to get started first here with the St. Louis Blues, who have signed a trio of players. First and foremost, though, they've signed forward Robby Fabbri to a one-year contract extension here at $900K. Now, Robby Fabbri came into the NHL with a lot of potential, but has really gone through a lot of injuries here. And after missing an entire season, the year before, came back last year, played 32 games, but didn't really put out a whole lot of offensive output. Didn't play regularly through the playoffs. It kind of looked like he might have fallen out of favor. I wasn't even completely sure, to be honest, that he was going to receive a qualifying offer. And I thought Fabbri's days in St. Louis very well might come to an end, but it looks as though they're still going to keep him around for one more year, see what he can do here. But that Blues forward group is pretty deep, and he's going to find it very challenging, I think, to find himself any kind of regular spot. And I do think that those injuries that he's suffered here over the last couple of years has really taken its toll on him, and he's not quite the same player he used to be. But he does get one more crack at it here, $900K one-year deal with the Blues, and we'll see if he can get his career back on track in the 1920 NHL season. Now, they've also signed center iceman Dakota Joshua, who they acquired earlier in the day from the Toronto Maple Leafs. He was originally drafted by the Leafs back in 2014, but never signed a contract with Toronto. Went through the U.S. college hockey system, played at Ohio State for the past 4 seasons, and was now traded to St. Louis for future considerations, and then they signed him here to his 2-year entry-level contract. So we'll see what he can do, but certainly given all the depth that the Blues have, he's definitely going to be playing in the minor leagues. Most likely starts at the American Hockey League here for the coming season, but another forward to put into the prospect pool here for the St. Louis Blues. Now they've also signed restricted free agent right-shot defenseman Mitch Reinke to a 1-year contract extension as well. He was originally signed as a college free agent, spent last year playing under an AHL team down in San Antonio, and had a pretty solid season. Put up 45 points in 76 games, so he gets a 1-year contract extension here at $750K at the NHL level. I don't imagine he'll get too much time playing with the NHL team, just be given the depth that they have here. Obviously, the Stanley Cup champion team has a lot of players who are higher than him on the depth chart, but certainly if he can put up another American Hockey League season like he did last year, at some point here, he's certainly going to prove himself enough to get an NHL opportunity. But he's certainly a very intriguing defensive prospect here for the Blues to have in their system. The Philadelphia Flyers have signed forward Scott Laughton to a 2-year contract at $2.3 million per year. Laughton's really kind of slowly developed here. The former first-round selection has taken his time becoming a regular NHL player, kind of going back and forth a lot, but the last couple of years he's played a full NHL campaign, only missing 1 game in the past 2 seasons. So last year he put up 32 points. Based on a lot of the other contracts we've seen around the NHL, around some of these younger restricted free agent forwards that are putting up that 30 to 35 point range, this certainly seems like a reasonably fair contract. I know I've seen some Flyers fans online saying it was a little bit of an overpayment, and maybe it is to a degree here. You've seen a variety of players in the NHL, like I said, in that younger age bracket, in that 22, 23, 24 range. You've seen other players like Danton Heinen or Turi Lehkonen, etc., Joel Armia, kind of put up similar type of point totals and get a variety of contracts here, anywhere from that lower 2s up to the $2.8 million range. So really, based on other comparables recently, it's not that bad. He's certainly proven to be a fairly reliable bottom 6 forward for the Flyers, and really overall it's not too bad of a contract. So $2.3 million for Scott Laughton here for the next 2 years. The Washington Capitals have signed their first-round selection, number 25 overall here, Connor McMichael, to his 3-year entry-level contract. He does get the rookie max $925K, which part of that is included as a signing bonus as well as his base salary. McMichael came from the London Knights of the OHL, so he's certainly in terrific hands with the London program to continue developing. That program certainly knows how to put out NHL players. The Hunter brothers have done a terrific job with the London Knights here, so obviously he's in a great spot to continue his development, and we'll see what he can become here in the next couple of years with the NHL. With the Washington Capitals, as McMichael will likely definitely go back to junior and play at least one more year here with the London Knights. The Buffalo Sabres have signed restricted free agent forward Johan Larsson to a 1-year contract of $1.5 million. A little bit surprising now. I think this one, in my opinion, is a bit of an overpayment based on his last year's performance. The 26-year-old played in 73 games last year and only put up 14 points. So when you look around the NHL and you see some bargain contracts, especially like the Kevin Labanc contract in San Jose, and I know they're not the same kind of player, but when you see him signing for 1 year, $1 million, then a player like Larson getting 1 year, 1.5, it really hardly seems fair, and it still goes into question. Like I said, I can't believe the amount that Labanc signed for with the Sharks. But given what Larson brings to the Sabres, I do think this is a little bit much. You want some of your bottom six forwards ideally making closer to $1 million or under $1 million. But really overall, I guess we'll see how this works out. Thankfully, it's a short-term contract, so it's not an issue for Botterill. But as I've mentioned in many of our videos recently discussing some of the latest NHL trade rumors, I don't think the Buffalo Sabres are done here. They've got a lot of acquisitions that they've made in the last little while, and I do think that we're possibly going to see them maybe trade a defenseman like Aristolainen, for example. So they very well might end up packaging a forward or more in a bigger trade. You just never know. They do have a lot of their forward group that has an expiring contract here that are only expiring after the coming season. So the Buffalo Sabres are not tied to a big chunk of their forward group for many more seasons, except for a couple of their top players. So they certainly have a lot of flexibility here to kind of make some changes as we go. It wouldn't be shocking to see some of these guys maybe packaged with a defenseman in a potential trade here that the Sabres might make before the season gets underway. The Pittsburgh Penguins have signed RFA Adam Johnson to a 1-year contract here at $700K. He was originally signed by the Penguins as an undrafted college free agent a couple years ago in 2017. He's been playing for their American Hockey League affiliate over the past 2 years and put up some decent statistics here. So I guess we'll see what he can do in the coming season, but he certainly ranks low enough on the depth chart that I'm not sure he's going to get much of an NHL opportunity. But if he keeps playing well, I guess depending on injuries and whatnot, I guess you just never know. But they'll keep him in the organization here for another year and see how much more he can develop and see if he can earn himself a shot at some NHL games. The Anaheim Ducks have come to terms with one of their restricted free agents who had filed for arbitration as well, Chase DeLeo. Of course, he's mainly been a minor league player, as we mentioned during the video where we discussed all the players that have filed for salary arbitration. His contract pays him $750K at the NHL level or $100K at the American Hockey League level since it's a two-way deal. He's really had a solid year, first to the San Diego Gulls in the American Hockey League, so he might prove to be a better prospect than many give him credit for longer term. Of course, the Anaheim Ducks do have a pretty solid prospect pool, and there are many prospects ahead of him in their system, so it's going to be difficult for him to get time at the NHL level. But if he keeps on producing and keeps on playing the way he has in the American League, certainly if it's not Anaheim, it could be another team that maybe takes notice enough here to give him an NHL opportunity when the time is right. That is all your NHL signings for today. Of course, as always, want to know your thoughts, your opinions on all these contracts down below in the comment section. So let me know what you think and we can continue the conversation. Now, of course, if you're new to the channel as well, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notification bell so you're notified every time I put out new content. There are daily videos, often 2 to 3 per day, keeping you up to date on all the latest news from around the NHL. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.